What's up, everybody? Welcome to the VSM Real Estate Podcast, getting you closer to massively successful people in the Twin Cities real estate market. I'm your host, André Anderson, today joined by Becky Grossman.
Hello.
Hello and welcome. The newest member of the VSM Real Estate team.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. So I know that actually we kind of worked across the table on a deal earlier this year, and you just came over here. For our viewers, can you kind of explain what you were kind of doing before this and then what you're kind of doing now here at VSM Real Estate, and maybe even just how you got into the real estate industry?
Yeah. Yep. So how I got into real estate is a little different from the average realtor. I was working in management at a large retailer and was interested in a change and was really excited about and interested about real estate, but becoming a realtor wasn't for me, just to jump right in. Mm-hmm. So I started working as a transaction coordinator for two top producers and was just able to get a ton of experience from them, just handling quite a few transactions in those first few years. Mm-hmm. And then was an office manager, operations manager for a small boutique brokerage in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. So prior to coming to VSM, I probably have about 500 plus transactions under my belt. Mm-hmm. So really cool to be able to see everything that happens, but not necessarily being the face of the realtor mm-hmm. on those transactions. So now I'm going to be working with Joe Maselter. Super excited about his team that he's got going on here. And going to be doing some similar with helping with transactions and also just helping him grow his business and just his capacity, his calendars mm-hmm. to the max if you've ever seen it. So mm-hmm. helping him just taking on more clients.
Yeah, for sure. He was super excited when I was talking with him last about it, just because it's going to free up some of his time to focus on, things to grow the brokerage and the management and all this kind of stuff, right? So it's super awesome. So I'm guessing, was the large retailer that you used to work at, was that Target too?
It was.
Oh, God, everyone's from Target. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were just talking today that we should dress in red and khaki just for fun.
just to relive old memories.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's so many real estate agents or people in real estate that came from Target. I feel like mm-hmm. it's just absolutely insane. So what kind of made you choose to not become a realtor, but more or less to become like a transaction coordinator?
Yeah. So anyone who knows me will say that I'm risk adverse, and that would be a true statement. So especially coming out of corporate America, trying to find a way to get into real estate without going to a full 1099 commission-based mm-hmm. income was the right move for me.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a huge step for a lot of people. Not only the kind of like commission and reward system that you have there, just like being able to build business and that kind of that time in between having, a salary job or like an hourly wage or whatever, where you're getting paid every 2 weeks or what have you. And then you might not get paid for like 3 or 4 months,
exactly.
Until your first deal closes, or mm-hmm. 6 months, depending on the time of the year, mm-hmm. How much your skill set aligns with, becoming a salesperson. And not only that, but the skill set is sometimes just very hard for people to get a grasp on. So when you're like learning and how to switch from, something like Target or like retail space, and then going into the commission job, like a sales job, it's just vastly different. Like the way you have to think, the way you...
It really is.
The habits you got to go.
I think a lot of people miss that too. So part of my role here is still going to be more in that transaction coordinator mm-hmm. position, and I just know that's the right fit for me.
Right.
I'm not as much of that salesperson, which when you work with someone who's great at sales, letting them do what they're great at and then mm-hmm. supporting in other areas is really important to be successful in real estate, because as you know, there's a lot of task and follow-up and just routines that you need to be on to be very successful in real estate.
Very much so. And when you were working across the table from me, that was something that you were always super on point on. It's just like, hey, where's this? And I'm just like waiting to hear back from sellers or whatever. Yeah.
I'm very much a routine person.
Yeah. But I think a lot of times people that are in sales need it. Like myself, like I definitely would like love to have somebody, backing me up on that, because like, you're looking at complete like other things, mm-hmm. and then like those kind of details and the habits and the things that are more routine need to be serviced much better and whatnot. So
I find a lot of people aren't good at all of it, which is
right.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just finding ways to support those areas that you're not as good at is really helpful.
For sure. Yeah. And it creates more jobs, you know what I mean? And it's more business for everybody, allowing someone to flourish or like, having something, a different skill set and hiring somebody or, finding somebody that like really flourishes there will allow the other person to flourish, and whatnot. So that's all very exciting, very exciting.
Have you ever read the book by Chip Gaines? Capital Gains, I believe, was the name of that book.
No, I haven't.
About all the lessons he learned. And part of what he talked about was just staying in your own lane. So just between him and Joanna, they're very different at what they're good at and figuring out what each person's good at and staying in your own lane and letting the other person run their area. It's huge for business.
Yeah, for sure. I think that concept is so key. What book was that?
I believe it's called Capital Gains.
Capital Gains. Okay. Is that Chip and Joanna? They're on like like Flip or Flop or some HGTV thing?
All sorts of HGTV. Yes.
Okay. Were you an HGTV junkie?
I try not to be.
Oh, you try not to
but a little bit.
Okay. So it's like a guilty pleasure maybe every now and then.
Yes.
For sure.
When you work in the industry, nothing's like HGTV. So try to distance myself a little bit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's all very exciting. So right now you're kind of going to be doing the same thing here at VSM, like transaction coordinating and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that you're going to ever kind of change or like do you see something where it'll develop into a little bit of something else or just like for transaction coordinating?
Yeah,
like kind of maybe eventually managing like an office or something like that. I know that we're looking maybe at different locations and all this kind of stuff too.
Yeah, right now I see my role growing into having a little bit more time to be a realtor as well. So doing some of my own transactions and then, like you said before, helping Joe with the brokerage. If we can find great things that work within our team, bringing it to everyone else within VSM to try to help everyone grow their business.
Yeah, that'll be super helpful. I know that for sure. That's awesome. So what kind of drew you to VSM? It's different than other brokerages for sure. A lot of times the investment portion is very incentivizing or kind of enticing. What specifically drew you to VSM?
Well, Joe, first off.
Yeah.
But also, he is great. Also, just with my experience within the business, being with a smaller boutique brand is more appealing to me than the larger brand names.
And would you say that just because of flexibility or like kind of you can get to know people better on like almost like a family basis?
Exactly. You get to know people better. It's just going to be a different culture. Corporate America, I got out of there for a reason, not looking to go back. And what I've heard about some of the bigger brands is that it can still be corporate feeling. So I just really like the flexibility of a small brokerage. For
sure. Yeah. I also quit my job in corporate America to come over to VSM full time and whatnot. And I think I hit a wall, or not hit a wall. There was a rough transition period into like getting that skill set for a salesperson and everything. So I think for those that do kind of want to make a smoother transition, should definitely go the route that you kind of went, where you're kind of like easing into a transaction coordinator and then getting more responsibilities and then trying out different stuff.
Absolutely.
You really see like all angles of the of a real estate transaction, and even if you go through real estate school, you're like, like, is this all?
Our school's pretty short.
Yeah,
and then you have your license. Yep.
For sure. So with people that are looking into to get into real estate, what are some like key factors that they're not sure if they should actually become a realtor, or maybe they could maybe work under the wing of somebody that's kind of like maybe a more mass producer or top producer, such as like a transaction coordinator, or maybe even different capacities like buyer's agent or something. What do you think are the key determining factors for that person?
Well, the people I see they're most successful in real estate, if you look at their DISC profile, they're high on the D and the I, and I'm high on the S and the C. So they're opposite of me.
Yeah.
But just really being outgoing and just really excelling with that flexible schedule. And when we say flexible schedule, it doesn't mean that you work less hours. It means that when you work, changes every day. So just coming in, realizing real estate's a full-time job, as you know, especially in the spring and the summer, you're nonstop, and you just really have to be flexible to to get to those showings when people can. And when that new property comes up at 3 o'clock on Thursday or Friday afternoon, rushing over there as fast as you can. And just really being excited about being around people all day. And, there's definitely some people who are great at sales and closing deals. That's not how I see real estate. It's more about making that personal connection with your clients and then helping them, just guiding them through the process and helping them find that house, but letting them take their time to find that perfect house.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for breaking that down. I think it could help a lot of people if they're if they're looking to get into real estate and they're not quite sure what to do. So, for people that are maybe more driven and very easily to be flexible, definitely on that sales. But maybe if you want more consistency and you have like that routine.
I love just going to my desk and doing the same thing
just
every day.
It's
always different, but it's similar from day to day. And I said, I'm such a routines person. Like I know that fits my personality better.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So did you ever think that you'd be interested in like investments at all? For like obviously VSM does like a lot of investments and whatnot.
Yeah. So we actually own or occupy a duplex in Minneapolis. So
nice.
Already starting down that path a little bit. Just have our feet wet right now, but definitely makes a huge difference. When you can have a tenant in your property, it makes a big difference on paying down that mortgage quickly and freeing up income to get onto that next property. So
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do see a ton of value in investing in real estate.
Yeah, for sure. How long ago did you buy that property?
We've been there for about 6 years.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. That's awesome. Yep. So you've probably seen a good amount of appreciation and everything like that.
Yes. Yep. We're northeast in a very popular spot. So yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes it gets tempting to even sell it because there's so much appreciation right now. Sure. But the long-term game in real estate, you got to hold on to them.
For sure. Yeah. Sell now and then, 30 years later, you're like,
exactly.
It's $1 million. It's worth like $1 million
exactly.
more. You're like, oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So what was kind of like the decision path then? Was this kind of aligned with the time that you had switched from corporate America over to real estate, or was it prior?
We actually moved to Minneapolis prior. And then I think that's kind of when I started to open up my eyes to everything within Minneapolis and how exciting real estate could be right within Minneapolis too. So the first brokerage I worked with was focused more downtown, condos and lofts. And it was so close. It was pretty much in my backyard, so it was easy to get there. And I just met some really great people there. So the duplex was driven more off of my boyfriend, but he definitely had the right idea.
Yeah, and you're like, okay. Did you have like initial hesitation? Sometimes with couples, there's like, no, we shouldn't do this at all, so especially like multifamily living.
Yeah, I still feel bad for his realtor because he looked for well over a year for this duplex. And that guy was just a saint to help him through it. But by the time he chose that house, I was overlooking at houses with him. So I hadn't even seen it until we moved in.
Oh, wow.
And it needed a lot of updating. So it was a little bit of a transition. The first few months were a challenge, but we got through it.
Right, for sure.
Just got to keep your eye on the prize. It's going to pay off in the long run.
Exactly, yeah. Now, could you imagine not going through those first couple months and then, kind of like, it's not really a quote-unquote result, but just like the path of progress that you guys are making. Could you imagine the alternative to that?
Exactly. So the alternative probably would have been going to a single-family home that we probably would have sold because there was appreciation and moving again, where now we are staying put where we're at, and we love our neighborhood and love where we're at. So it's been really good.
For sure, yeah. Are you guys thinking of buying another one anytime soon or anything like that?
Probably we'll wait until the market comes down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, the market's hot right now, and what we're seeing, especially within Northeast, a lot of the prices don't necessarily support what you're going to get in rental income. So right now we're just staying put. But
okay. Do you think that you'll continue to do like kind of the house hacking strategy, living in like a duplex or?
You can definitely see us doing that. Yep.
Okay.
A fourplex would be amazing.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple others, a couple fourplexes in Northeast I know that we manage, and like tons of other units in Northeast. Yeah, and it's just such a great area.
There's one that we walk by every single time we walk by it, which is pretty often. We're like, gosh, we'd love to own that building right there.
Just call up the owner. Say, hey, thinking of selling.
I know.
You do seller financing, or you have low interest rates, so still can make sense.
Yep.
That's super exciting. What do you think, like, kind of the long-term goals then are you thinking for like investment, and then also real estate career-wise?
Yeah, from the investment standpoint, we talk a lot about retiring early and wanting to have flexibility early. So the focus is just getting this duplex paid off. So it's just pure income at that point. And, when you talk to different people about different strategies, if you are trying to retire early, you really have to be thoughtful about how do you have cash on hand before you can touch your 401k or Roth, all of that. And rental income is really what makes the most sense there.
For sure.
So that's where maybe about a year ago, we started thinking about selling just because appreciation is good and it's exciting. But we really came back to our senses of this is a long-term play.
For sure.
And values may come down, and that's okay. The long-term results are going to be worth it. And then in terms of my real estate career, I am super excited about VSM because I see unlimited growth here. Just with being able to build out our team and watching the brokerage grow. I'm just really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome. For the investment side, do you have it on like a 15 or 30-year note?
We're on 15.
15? Oh, so you guys are you're probably just really digging into that equity right now.
Yeah, it's amazing so we started on a 30 and then refinanced into a 15. And it really is amazing if you've ever looked at it. I hadn't really looked that closely, how much faster you pay off your principal in the 15. So it makes it much more exciting to check in to see where you're at.
Right, for sure, because that just means you're so much closer to that pure cash flow. Man, that's awesome. That is awesome. So do you think you're going to stick like mostly in Northeast Minneapolis then for your investment, or?
Not necessarily. Pretty open to finding an area that makes sense. Right now, Northeast seems the most convenient to manage as well, just because we're there. But we've talked about townhomes in other communities and what that would look like. So once we're really ready to go, we'll be researching down to the neighborhood and really trying to pick that best spot. We did luck out with Northeast. It's really changed in the last 5 to 6 years even, with just how popular and how much rents have gone up, and there's just so much more to walk to. So, if we could replicate that and find that next little gem of an area that's going to take off, that would be amazing.
For sure. Yeah, that's always a sweet spot. Get in the path of progress and hitting before the transition period.
I don't know if we can get lucky like that twice, but we would definitely try.
Yeah, definitely try. So if anyone really kind of digs your story, or maybe has questions on if they should, get into kind of like transaction coordinating versus, becoming a real estate agent, or, just that thought process, or kind of really jive with your story and maybe, kind of want to start working with you because, it sounds like you're maybe going to be representing some buyers and this kind of stuff, right? Building out some of that. How could people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Feel free to give me an email at becky@vsmrealestate.com. And I would love to hear from our audience.
Oh, excellent. And we could put that just right here, right? Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining, everybody. Take care.